All right, let's take a look at the law of cosines here. So, with the law of cosines, what we're given is that we have a triangle with two sides and one angle, but we're looking for a particular side, right? So this is the general formula for the law of cosines. Sometimes this formula needs to be adapted to the letters that you're given on the triangle. Okay, so what we're going to do first is take a look at what are we solving for, and then what other pieces do we have. So in this case, we're first told we need to find r. Now notice that's a little r. So what we're looking for is the length of the side of the triangle down at the bottom, right? Since that's what I'm looking for, I'm going to let a squared, I'm going to turn that into r squared instead. Okay, so little r is what I'm looking for. All right. Now some of the other letters will need to be then decided for. So notice how the original formula has b squared. We don't have a b on the triangle. We have p and we have q. So it doesn't really matter which one is which, all right, as long as you make a decision. So big P will tell you that on the opposite side of that is going to be the little p, lowercase p, all right? And then wherever big Q is at, on the opposite side of that one, that's where little q will be. Okay, so you could treat one of these as your B, one of these as your C, but again, it doesn't really matter which one you choose to be B or C. So I'm going to let B become my new P, so this is little p squared, plus little q squared, right? So all of my lowercase letters are all of the sides of my triangle. Okay, so I need to replace those first. Minus 2 times little b. Well, remember, little b is what became my little p. And then little c is actually my little q. Okay? And then I have cosine of, I have big A, but I don't have big A on this triangle. I do have big R. That's the only angle that I'm given. So up there, I'm going to let that be big R. So we actually have cosine of big R. All right, so now that I have this kind of translated into this triangle, I'm going to go ahead and plug in all of the information that I have. So r squared is equal to p squared. Well, p is actually 18, so that will be 18 squared. Plus q squared. Well, q is actually 15, little q, so 15 squared. Minus 2 times p, little p is 18, little q is 15, times the cosine of 45 degrees. Okay. Now, when you're doing problems like this, make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Okay, because sometimes it's set to radian mode, and that will generate a different solution. So you want to be in degree mode on your calculator. Okay. So now let's go ahead and clean all this up. R squared will equal 18 squared, which is 324, plus 15 squared, which is 225. Minus 2 times 15 times 18, or I'm sorry, 2 times 18 times 15, which is 540, times the cosine of 45 degrees, which should be about 0.707. Okay, that's an approximate value. All right, so now we have to clean up a little bit. Let's clean up the 324 plus the 225. That's going to give us 549 minus the product of 540 times 0.707. So 540 times 0.707 gives us 381.78. Okay, so now r squared is equal to this value. So we have to clean it up one more time. 549 minus 381.78. That's equal to 167.22. Okay, now that's equal to r squared, right? But that doesn't make too much sense that a triangle with sides of 15 and 18 have a side of 167, and that's because we're not done. We need to take the square root, because what we're looking for is r, not r squared. Okay, so r will equal, when you take the square root of 167.22, you're going to get 12.9. Okay, now again, that's an approximate value, and on IXL you'll be asked to round to the nearest tenth, which this value is, because it's 12.93, but if I round it to the nearest tenth, then it's just 12.9. Okay, so there it is.